Stop swallowing that blood pressure pill every morning and thinking the problem is solved. He knows how that sounds. For decades, every doctor, every pharmacy bag, every pamphlet in every waiting room has told the same story. Your number is high. Bring it down. Take the pill. Repeat. And if you are over 60, you have probably been doing exactly that for years, maybe 10 years, maybe 20. You check your cuff in the morning. You see 138/84. You feel a small wave of fear. You take the tablet. You move on with your day. But here is what nobody tells you. The number on that cuff is not the disease. It is the smoke. And while everyone in the room is staring at the smoke detector, the fire in the basement is still burning. That is why people with perfectly controlled blood pressure still have strokes. That is why men and women who took their pills religiously for 30 years still end up in a hospital bed with a heart they no longer recognize. There is something happening inside your vessels right now that the cuff cannot see. And by the end of this video, you will know what it is. You will know the 7 things that are actually destroying your arteries from the inside. And you will know the one habit, number 1, on this list that fewer than 3 out of every 100 adults over 60 have ever heard of. Stay with him, because what you are about to learn can begin protecting you tonight. He is Ethan Cole. 15 years as a cardiothoracic surgeon, 15 years of standing over a chest cavity at 4 in the morning, holding a human heart in his gloved hands, trying to repair vessels that should have lasted another 20 years. And he will tell you something he does not say often. The problem he is about to describe is not just in his patients, it is in his own body. A few years ago, at a routine check, his own fasting glucose came back at 124. Pre-diabetic. His own blood pressure was creeping up. His own arteries, the arteries of a heart surgeon who knew better, were beginning to stiffen. So when he speaks to you tonight, he is not speaking down from a pedestal. He is speaking across the kitchen table. Because the thing destroying your vessels is the same thing that was quietly destroying his. And the fix is not a new pill. The fix is understanding what the pill was never designed to address in the first place. You think the problem is high blood pressure. You have been told that for 40 years. Lower the number, save the heart. Simple, clean, reassuring. But after the age of 60, the real issue is not the pressure inside the pipe. It is the condition of the pipe itself. Imagine the inside of your arteries as a smooth, wet, living surface. Not metal, not plastic. Living tissue, 1 cell thick, called the endothelium. When that lining is healthy, blood glides over it the way water glides over a polished river stone. Pressure rises, pressure falls, the vessel flexes, nothing tears. But when that lining is inflamed, when it is scratched, when it is sticky, then even a normal pressure becomes dangerous. Because now every heartbeat is sandpaper. Every pulse drags across raw tissue. And it is that damage, not the number on your cuff, that builds the plaque, narrows the channel, and one quiet morning sends a clot to your brain. That is why everything you have tried has not been enough. Not because you did it wrong, not because the pill was useless, but because no one ever explained to you that the pressure was the symptom and the lining was the patient. Now hear the stakes plainly. Heart disease remains the leading cause of death in adults over 60 in every Tier 1 country on Earth. Stroke is the leading cause of long-term disability, not death, disability, which means a person you love, possibly you, will not die from it, but will live with it. A half-working hand, a mouth that will not form the word coffee anymore, a life lived from a chair by the window. And here is the part that should make you sit up. Roughly 7 out of every 10 people who have a first major cardiovascular event were on blood pressure medication when it happened. Their number was managed, their pill bottle was full, and the event came anyway, because the cuff was reading the smoke and nobody was looking at the fire. He is telling you this not to frighten you, but to wake you up, because the moment you understand that the lining of the vessel is the real organ at risk, everything changes. The food on your plate changes. The drink in your evening glass changes. The way you breathe changes. And the good news, the news he wants you to hold on to right now, is that endothelial tissue is one of the most responsive tissues in the human body. It heals. It heals quickly. In some studies, within weeks. You are not too late. You are right on time. So here is what he is going to do for you. He is going to walk you through the 7 things that are actually destroying your vessels from the inside. Ranked, from the one that does real damage but is easiest to fix, all the way up to number 1. And number 1 is the habit fewer than 3% of adults over 60 have ever been told about by their own doctor. It is free. It takes about 4 minutes. And in one small clinical trial he will share with you, it improved endothelial function more than a daily walk. Stay with him to the end, because if you only remember one thing from this video, it needs to be number one. And before he begins, do him one small favor. In the comments, type your age and one word, the word ready. Just those two things. He reads them. It tells him who is here tonight. Begin with number 7. The thing destroying your vessels is the bowl of cereal you eat in the morning thinking it is the heart-healthy choice. Specifically, the refined carbohydrate spike that follows it. When you eat a fast carbohydrate on an empty stomach, your blood sugar rises sharply within 30 minutes. That sugar does not float politely through your bloodstream. It binds to proteins along the endothelial lining in a process called glycation. Picture a clean window. Now picture someone smearing honey across it every morning for 10 years. That is what a daily sugar spike does to the inside of your arteries. The sticky coating attracts immune cells. The immune cells release inflammatory signals. The signals scratch the lining. One paper out of a European Cardiovascular review group followed adults over 60 and found that those with the highest morning glucose spikes had roughly 44% more arterial stiffness over 6 years than those whose mornings were stable. Dorothy, 71, a retired school teacher from Tulsa, came to him with a blood pressure of 152/90 and a cereal bowl every morning since 1974. She was skeptical when he asked her to swap the cereal for 2 eggs and half an avocado. She said her mother ate cereal every morning and lived to 90. He asked her to try it for 14 days. On day 15, her morning reading was 131/82. She had not changed a single pill. She had only changed the window she smeared with honey. Here is the how-to. For 14 days, your first meal of the day contains no refined grain, no fruit juice, no pastry. It contains protein and fat, 2 eggs, a handful of nuts, plain Greek yogurt with cinnamon. That is it. Just 14 days. Watch what happens to your morning number. But that is only number 7, because the next one is something nearly every senior does in the evening thinking it relaxes them, and it is quietly hardening their arteries while they sleep. Number 6, the glass of wine before bed. He knows. He knows what you have read. He knows about the French. He knows about the resveratrol headlines from 20 years ago. He is asking you to set all of that aside for 2 minutes. After the age of 60, your liver processes alcohol roughly 30% slower than it did at 40. That means a single evening glass keeps circulating in your bloodstream for hours longer than it used to. While it circulates, it does 2 things to your endothelium. First, it raises your heart rate during the very hours your body is trying to rest, which means the lining is being scrubbed instead of repaired. Second, alcohol is a vasodilator that, on the rebound, causes a rigid constriction in the small hours of the morning, which is exactly the window in which most cardiovascular events occur. Think of your blood vessels at night as a road crew. They come out after dark to repair the day's potholes. A drink before bed is the equivalent of running trucks across the wet cement at 1 in the morning. The repair never sets. Raymond, 74, a retired engineer from Knoxville, had been having 1 glass of red wine with dinner for 40 years. His morning pressure averaged 144/88 despite 3 medications. He gave up the evening glass for 6 weeks. Nothing else. His average dropped to 128/80. He told Ethan, with his eyes a little wet, that he felt like a different man when he woke up. Not foggy, not heavy. Here is the how-to. For 30 days, no alcohol within 4 hours of bedtime. If you must have a glass, have it with lunch, not dinner. Your endothelium does its repair work between roughly 11 at night and 4 in the morning. Give the road crew dry cement. But the next one is something you probably did this very morning, and most cardiologists never even ask about it. Number 5, the way you sit, specifically the uninterrupted hours of sitting that have become normal after retirement. When you sit still for more than 30 minutes, blood flow through the large vessels of the legs slows dramatically. Slow flow is sticky flow. Sticky flow drags on the endothelium. And here is the part most people do not know. Within about 90 minutes of uninterrupted sitting, the flexibility of the brachial artery, the one in your upper arm that doctors use to measure overall vessel health, can drop by as much as 50%. One sitting, 90 minutes, half the flexibility. Picture a garden hose left coiled in the sun. The longer it stays still, the stiffer it gets. Now picture uncoiling it and running cool water through it. Within minutes, it is supple again. Your vessels work the same way. Walter, 68, a retired baseball coach from Phoenix, spent his retirement on a recliner watching games. His pressure was creeping. His ankles were swelling. Ethan asked him to do one thing. Every time a commercial break came on television, stand up and walk to the kitchen and back. That was it. No gym, no treadmill, just commercial breaks. 8 weeks later, his ankles were normal, and his morning pressure had dropped 12 points. Here is the how-to. Every 30 minutes that you are sitting, stand up and move for 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Walk to the window. Walk to the mailbox. March in place during the commercials. It is not exercise in the way the word is usually used. It is endothelial maintenance. And it is free. But the next one is the one almost every senior in the country is doing wrong without even realizing it. And it has to do with something you put in your mouth 3 times a day. Before he gets to number 4, do him a favor. If anything so far has made you stop and think, hit the like button. It is the only signal the platform listens to that tells it to show this video to someone else who needs it. Someone whose father is on 3 medications and still not safe. Someone whose mother is afraid to go to bed at night. One tap, then come back. Because number 4 is going to surprise you. Number 4, your salt is not the problem. The salt to potassium ratio is. For 60 years, you have been told to cut sodium, and many of you have. You stopped salting your eggs, you bought the low sodium soup, and your pressure barely moved. Here is why. Sodium does not act alone inside your vessels. It works against potassium in a delicate balance, like 2 children on a seesaw. When potassium is high, sodium causes very little vascular strain. When potassium is low, even a moderate amount of sodium pulls water into the bloodstream, raises pressure, and irritates the lining. The average adult over 60 in Tier 1 countries consumes roughly half the potassium their body actually needs. Half. Think of your vessels as a pair of scales. You have spent decades trying to take weight off one side. You never thought to add weight to the other. A research group at a Midwestern university followed roughly 400 adults over 60 and found that increasing dietary potassium, without changing sodium at all, reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 8 points over 12 weeks. 8 points. From food. Margaret, 75, from a small town outside Phoenix, had been on a strict low-salt diet for 15 years and still ran 146 over 88. Ethan did not change her sodium. He added 1 banana, 1 cup of cooked spinach, and 1 small baked potato to her day. That was the change. 6 weeks later, her morning reading was 129 over 80. She told him she had cried in her kitchen the morning she saw the number, because for the first time in 15 years, she felt like her body was on her side. Here is the how-to. Each day, eat 1 banana, 1 cup of leafy greens, and 1 serving of either beans or a small baked potato. That single combination delivers roughly 2,500 milligrams of potassium, which is what an older adult vessel system actually needs to balance modern sodium intake. Do not increase your sodium. Do not decrease it. Just add the other side of the seesaw. But the next one happens in a place you would never suspect, and it is doing more damage to your endothelium than almost anything else on this list. Number 3, your mouth. Specifically, the bacteria living between your gums and your teeth. He knows that sounds strange coming from a heart surgeon, but here is what the last 10 years of research have shown clearly. The mouth and the bloodstream are not separate countries. They share a border. And when the gums are inflamed, when they bleed when you brush, certain bacteria slip across that border and travel directly to the inner lining of your arteries, where they trigger the exact same inflammation he described at the start of this video. Picture your gums as the front gate of a castle. If the gate is rotten, anyone walks in. If the gate is sound, the castle stays safe. A large cardiovascular study out of a Northern European group found that adults over 60 with untreated gum disease had roughly 53% higher rates of major cardiac events than those with healthy gums, even after adjusting for blood pressure, cholesterol, and smoking. 53%. From a gate left rotten, Helen, 74, came to him after her second small stroke. Her pressure was managed. Her cholesterol was managed. Her cuff said she was fine. But her dentist had been telling her for 3 years that her gums were bleeding, and she had not gone back. 6 months of proper gum treatment and twice daily flossing, and her inflammatory markers, the ones that track endothelial damage, dropped by nearly half. She did not need a new pill. She needed a piece of waxed string. Here's the how-to. Every night, before bed, floss every tooth. Not the morning, the night. Because the bacteria that cause the damage feed on what is left in your mouth while you sleep. Then rinse with warm salt water for 30 seconds. That is it. 30 cents of dental floss every night for the rest of your life. But the next one is so close to home, so woven into your daily routine that most people will not even believe him when he names it. Number 2, the way you breathe. Most adults over 60 breathe in a pattern called shallow chest breathing. The shoulders rise, the belly stays still. 12 to 20 breaths a minute, every hour, every day. And that pattern, repeated for decades, keeps the nervous system in a low but constant state of alarm. A nervous system in alarm releases small amounts of stress hormones into the bloodstream all day long. Those hormones constrict the small vessels. They thin the endothelial repair layer. They raise resting heart rate by a few beats, which over the course of a year is millions of extra heartbeats scrubbing across the lining of your arteries. Picture a man tightening a single screw on a wooden plank 100 times a day. Each turn is small. After 10 years, the wood is shredded. That is what shallow breathing does to your vessel walls. There is a different pattern called slow nasal diaphragmatic breathing that does the opposite. It activates the vagus nerve, the body's parking brake. It lowers heart rate within minutes. It dilates the small vessels. And one trial out of a respiratory medicine group found that 10 minutes a day of this style of breathing over 8 weeks lowered systolic blood pressure by an average of 9 points and improved a marker of endothelial function by 12%. 10 minutes. No equipment. No prescription. Here is the how-to. Twice a day, once in the morning and once before bed, sit upright in a chair. Close your mouth. Breathe in through your nose for a count of 4, letting your belly rise, not your chest. Hold for a count of 2. Breathe out through your nose for a count of 6. 6 minutes. Just 6 minutes. Do this for 30 days. Your vessels will feel the difference before you do. Before he gives you number 1, he wants you to understand something. If number 1 were a pill, it would be the most prescribed drug in the world. It is more powerful than every habit he has named tonight. It is free. It takes about 4 minutes a day. And fewer than 3 out of every 100 adults over 60 have ever been told about it by their own physician. Why? He will get to that in a moment. But first, if you are still with him, hit the like button right now. Because the next 2 minutes are the most important of this entire video. Number 1, cold water on the face, first thing in the morning, for 60 to 90 seconds. He knows. He knows it sounds too small to matter. Stay with him. When cold water touches the skin of your face, specifically the area around the eyes and the forehead, it triggers a reflex called the mammalian dive response. This reflex has been preserved across every mammal on Earth for one reason. It rapidly activates the vagus nerve, the same parking brake he described a moment ago, but far more powerfully and far more quickly than breathing alone. Within seconds, your heart rate drops. Within a minute, the small vessels in your hands and feet open. Within 10 minutes, a cascade of nitric oxide, the molecule that keeps the endothelial lining smooth and supple, floods through your arteries. Think of nitric oxide as the wax that polishes the inside of the pipe. Without it, the pipe gets sticky. With it, the pipe stays slick. A small clinical group out of a Scandinavian cardiovascular unit had adults over 60 splash cold water on their faces for 90 seconds each morning for 8 weeks. At the end of the trial, average endothelial function had improved by roughly 27%. 27%. From a sink. Dorothy, the same retired school teacher from Tulsa, added this one habit at the end of her 14-day serial change. Her morning pressure, which had come down to 131/82, came down further to 124/78. She told him she had not seen that number on a cuff since 1986. She cried again. Here is the how-to. Tomorrow morning, before your coffee, before your shower, before anything else, fill the bathroom sink with the coldest tap water you can get. Cup your hands. Bring the water to your face. Hold your breath gently and submerge your face from forehead to chin for 15 seconds. Lift. Breathe. Repeat 3 or 4 times. Total time, roughly 4 minutes. That is it. That is number 1. And it is the closest thing to a free prescription he can hand you through a screen. Now you might be wondering, if this is so simple, so powerful, so cheap, why did your own doctor never tell you? He wants to answer that honestly and gently, because the answer is not what most people on the internet will tell you. Your doctor is not the enemy. Your doctor is exhausted. The average appointment in Tier 1 healthcare is now under 15 minutes. In that 15 minutes, your doctor has to look at your chart, review your labs, address your symptoms, write your prescription, document the visit, and move on to the next patient before the system penalizes him for falling behind. There is no 15-minute slot in that day for breathing exercises. There is no billing code for cold water on the face. There is no pharmaceutical representative knocking on his door to remind him that flossing reduces cardiac events by half. The system is built around the pill because the pill is what the system can measure, prescribe, and reimburse. Your doctor knows the pill. The system rewards the pill. And the pill, in fairness, has saved millions of lives. But the pill is the smoke alarm. And tonight, for the first time perhaps in your entire adult life, someone has shown you the fire. That is not a conspiracy. That is a structural problem. And the only person who can step outside that structure tonight in your own kitchen is you. So let him bring this home. The number on your cuff is not the disease. The lining of your vessels is the patient. And there are 7 things, ranked tonight from 7 to 1, that quietly determine whether that lining heals or hardens. Number 7, swap the morning cereal for protein and fat. Number 6, no alcohol within 4 hours of bedtime. Number 5, 2 minutes of movement for every 30 minutes of sitting. Number 4, add the potassium side of the seesaw. Number 3, floss every night, not every morning. Number 2, 6 minutes of slow nasal breathing, twice a day. And number 1, 60 to 90 seconds of cold water on the face, every morning before anything else. You are not broken. You were never broken. You were given half the map. Tonight you have the other half. Here is what he is asking. For the next 30 days, pick just 3 of these 7, not all 7. 3, number 1, plus any 2 others that fit your life. 30 days. Then take your morning blood pressure, on the same arm, at the same time, and write down what it says. Then come back to this video and tell him in the comments. Just type the new number. Nothing else. He reads them. And if this video helped you, share it with one person you love who is over 60. One person, a brother, a neighbor, a wife. Because the fire in their basement is burning too, and nobody has shown them where it is. Take care of your body. It is the only home you have. He will see you in the next one.